any way you slice it, 3 of the last 4 terms of the presidency, Democrats. Democrats hold the Senate. Our red wave that should have been in the midterm was an absolute pathetic embarrassment. The party continues to pass bad bill after bad bill working with Democrats. This party is broken, lost, and rotted, and we need it to get a whole heck of a lot better if you and I are going to have any chance of saving this country. So, what's that look like? How do we rebuild? What needs to change? I mean, the list is very, very long. We're going to talk about a lot of different solutions, great guests tonight. But I thought going over just a few bullet points here would probably help. 1, lobbyist money. You know the number 1 industry in the federal government for lobbying, money-wise? Pharmaceutical companies. Now, I want you to think back to the past couple years. All the endless COVID insanity, all the endless vaccine push from Democrats and Republicans. It's got to stop. It simply has to stop. These gigantic industries. It's never the small mom and pop store. It's these gigantic industries. They spend millions and millions and millions of dollars on DC offices, on DC lobbying. They stroke these gigantic checks to Democrat and Republican campaigns. And the truth is, there's simply no way the Republican Party is going to be able to root out government corruption while they're still receiving vast quantities of lobbying money. I mean, you really want to know why the Republican Party won't address things like big tech? Why do they talk about it, but there's never anything done, never anything with teeth? Why? Go look at how many of them get donations from Google and other big tech companies. And look, you're never going to crack down big tech when you just took $50,000 in cash for your PAC. Until we wake up and grow up and start refusing this open bribery, I mean, that's what it amounts to, is open bribery, nothing's going to change, nothing's going to get better. Earmarks are part of this whole thing. Earmarks are a huge part of this whole thing because this is what they do. They get these huge quantities of money from the lobbyists, and in turn, they end up putting in things in big omnibus bills, not that those are in the news or anything like that, things that are in omnibus bills that just happen to somehow end up going to the same industries that just lobbied them. The Democrats are a great example of this. Go look at the donations to Obama and then Joe Biden from things like the solar industry. Every major solar company. Hey, we're gonna just donate a bunch of, just gonna do some lobbying of Barack Obama and Joe Biden. What do you know? Soon another $1 trillion bill is passing, and there are all kinds of earmarks in there with handouts for the solar industry. That's naked corruption out in the open. And Republicans are just as guilty of this. The top 10 Senate earmarkers for 2023, 7 of the highest are Republicans. Lisa Murkowski, Lindsey Graham, James Inhofe. You cannot possibly rebuild a party with this level of corruption. Another thing we need to do, don't run away from, embrace cultural issues. I have watched the GOP lose on cultural issue after cultural issue because they don't even fight them. Now we have turbo freaks teaching your kids and drag queens reading books to your children and twerking for them on Nick Jr. because the Republican Party only wanted to be the party of low taxes. Guess what? Low taxes don't matter if your teenage son is chopping his penis off. Stop running away from issues like the LGBTQ insanity. Stop running away from issues like family. Stop running away from issues like life, and instead be the party that actually stands for something. You never know. You might look around one day and find an army of voters behind you because they finally have somebody who speaks for them. One thing I love about Heavy D, at least he talks about this stuff.
But what I've said is that the state of Florida is the place where woke goes to die. We are not going to let this state. We're not going to let this state descend into some type of woke dumpster fire. We're going to be following common sense. We're going to be following, facts, and that's just really, really important. So, anyways, thank you guys for being here. God bless you all.
It's good. Now, this is another one, and this is a really, really big one. It's going to sound ridiculous, but just let me explain. All right, I get emails to the show all the time, and one of the main themes of these emails is, Jesse, I love the show. You just sound like me. You sound like one of us. You sound like one of us. Well, one, I am one of you. I just got into media like yesterday. I just lived a normal life most of my life. But two, and this is a huge reason for that. Do I talk like you talk? Of course I do. Care about the things you care about? Of course I do. You know why? I don't live in Washington, D.C. or New York. Where you live matters. Whenever the show is over, whenever I get done, like this show, whenever I get done doing this show and I pop this earpiece out of my ear and I say goodbye to producer Matt and John and all the fellas and I go home, I don't go hang out with lobbyists. I don't go hang out with congressmen and senators. I don't go hang out with campaign staffers. In fact, I don't have a single person in my life, in my area, who is a political person. I go and I hang out with normal people. All my neighbors are just normal people. Hanging out with normal people gives me perspective on how normal people think, what they care about, what they don't care about. That's why I sound like you. I just hang out with normal people just like you do. When I leave here, I'm going to go have a beer and play cornhole with the neighbors and watch the kids swim in the pool if it's heated up. That's what I'm going to do. A huge problem for these people is they spend way too much time, not only in Washington, D.C., but in political circles. But Washington, D.C. is a huge problem because the entire city is political. It's not like it's just the people who are elected. Virtually everyone in that city is connected to politics. How could you be so out of touch to think that every single person, every Republican's number one concern is Ukraine? You spent way too much time in Washington, D.C.
Making sure the Defense Department can deal with the major threats coming from Russia and China, providing assistance for the Ukrainians to defeat the Russians. That's the number one priority for the United States right now, according to most Republicans. That's sort of how we see the challenges confronting the country at the moment.
You've got to get out of Washington, D.C. You have got to be in Washington, D.C. for the bare minimum amount of time. Otherwise, you find yourself living in a world of make-believe, like old Mitch there. Another thing we need to do is toughen up. No more, we're better than that. No more, what about our principles? No more, well, I don't want to be involved in a tit for tat.
Those who broke the laws will be held to account. But this cannot be, and it will not be, a tit-for-tat exercise. We are not going to lower the standards just to achieve a result.
Yeah, he left the DOJ. Merrick Garland promptly went into the DOJ and started arresting pro-lifers for reading Bible verses. We have got to stop this. We're better than them. We're above that talk. And we have got to start punching back the same way they do. Until they fear us, they're never going to stop. Which brings us to the media. You want to know how to treat the media? You want to know how? Let's go to somebody you hate. Here's Nancy Pelosi, Grandma Vodka, showing you how you treat the media.
Will you commit to serving your full 2-year term for the people of San Francisco?
What is this? Don't bother me with a question like that. Really? Really? Okay? That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. I don't, those kind of questions are such a waste of my time. No, yes, sir.
They're not defenders of democracy. They're not journalists. They're pathetic, stupid, communist apparatchiks. And their goal in life every single day when they go down to their blog or their newspaper or CNN is to destroy you and every single thing you care about. Stop trying to earn their approval. In fact, start trying to earn their disapproval. You should be out there every day trying to earn their hate. There, that's a great start.
Support the First TV today and get instant access to exclusive specials like Who is Ron DeSantis, the history of FBI scandals, and America's worst presidents. Visit thefirsttv.com/support or download the First TV app to become a supporter and start watching today.